let us know that you're here, that you're excited to learn about this topic today. And also let's celebrate you guys yourself showing up here today. So yeah, go ahead and say hello below. And let me see if I can find your comments here. And we will get started. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Hi, Maria. Nice to see you again. It looks like I don't know why I can't see any comments on this. On this thing, but let's see here if I can find the comments here. Okay. All right, we'll just dive in. We'll just dive into today's topic. Go ahead, just say hi below. Let me know that you're excited to learn about this topic. I know it's one that we all struggle with from time to time. So, first of all, for those of you who are new to the group, I want to welcome all the new members. My name is Lydia Catherine, board certified hypnotist, peak performance coach, and vocal empowerment coach as well. And we're going to talk about this theme of imposter syndrome, because it doesn't matter if you're running a business, if you're just like a busy working professional. This imposter syndrome tends to creep up, right? Even in our relationships, we may feel like we're kind of being an imposter, being a fraud. Awesome. Thank you for your comments. Now I can see them. Okay. So thank you guys for being here today. Happy Valentine's Day. Just rewinding a little bit. And so what exactly is imposter syndrome? Because this concept is just thrown around. And I think oftentimes we just slap a label on ourselves and then we don't know how to change that, right? Like, how does labeling ourselves, I have imposter syndrome, change things? It doesn't, right? So what is it? It's a perceived fraudulence. So it's like we envision that others perceive us as a fraud, which is interesting, right? Because we are the ones who think we're a fraud, but we perceive that others are thinking that. And that's this phenomenon that goes on that is called projection. So we often project our own thoughts, our own feelings, and even our whole lives on other people. I know sometimes I project my goals on others or my tastes on others. Like, oh, if I don't like the taste of fish, then they probably don't either, right? So we tend to project our behaviors on others. So how many of you do this here? We all do it. We all project ourselves on others. But when you think about it like that, if it's us just projecting our thoughts and feelings on someone else, then what does that mean? It's our own thoughts and feelings. It's our own thoughts and feelings that are being projected, which means it's not theirs. Do you see that? We can start to create a boundary here between what are my thoughts, what are my feelings, and what are others' thoughts, what are others' feelings. I literally take clients through exercises to help them draw this line between where you end and others begin. Because if you struggle with codependency, if you struggle with enmeshments, and imposter syndrome is going to be a symptom of that, there's probably that line is hazy between where your thoughts and feelings and projections end and others begin. So how does imposter syndrome show up in our lives? How does it show up in our lives? How does it show up in your life? And I'm just going to run through some examples here. There's often feelings of self-doubt and personal incompetence that persist despite our education, our experience, or our achievements. So it doesn't matter how much we accomplish, the type of degree that we have, or the amount of even compliments that we get. How bizarre is that? The amount the amount of compliments that we get, we might perceive them as like people pitying us. Do you ever feel that way? Like somebody's complimenting you, but it feels like it's out of pity, right? I know this is something that I've struggled with in the past. How many, put me in the comments if that sounds like you. Does this sound like you? Do you feel like people feel sorry for you, right? Do you often work overtime to keep people from seeing your own shortcomings or from recognizing what you're not capable of, or you don't believe you deserve something? You don't believe you deserve something, whether it's money, whether it's a friend, whether it's a relationship, whether it's, a house. You often deep down don't believe that you are worthy of the things that you have. It's like you think you have it out of luck, or you have it because somebody felt sorry for you, or you have it just because of some circumstances, right? And we try to often make up for our lack of intelligence or our lack of being capable of. And this may look like you bending over backwards. If you're a coach or consultant, I know one thing I used to do on sales calls or even with clients was I used to bend over backwards in sessions, like work harder to make up for what I could be lacking, which meant a lot of time outside of sessions trying to like help them with time that I haven't been paid for. And it's just this feeling of not being good enough. Do you work overtime at home? And maybe we're all teleworking now, but do you work overtime on your job because you feel like deep down, like they're not going to recognize you unless you do extra, unless you work harder, then you're not good enough. So you don't have boundaries. So you work all night, all day, and you don't have boundaries. This is going to be hitting home with some of you guys because clients I work with who complain about imposter syndrome or are always working overtime to get the job done. Because again, they're trying to make up for this perceived fraudulence. And it's also you trying to ease your guilt of tricking people. Do you feel like your behavior is you trying to ease your own guilt of tricking people? Like you feel like you have to trick people into thinking that you're good enough or you're skilled or you're capable or you're intelligent, right? What's hitting home for you guys so far? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. How is this showing up in your life? How is this showing up in your life? Where do you try to pretend or try to work overtime so that people don't see you as a fraud? Let us know in the comments. Drop that below. I'm sure other people can resonate with you, right? We're all part of a community here, a private community. And let's start sharing here because I'm sure others can relate to your story. So this is, it's going to be good for you to also start to share as well in the comments if you're not already. So, and then what ends up happening is that we tend to fuel these feelings of guilt by working harder, by trying to convince people. Like, let's say you're a consultant of some kind. Do you have this convincing tone in your voice? Like you're trying to convince clients to sign with you. You're trying to convince people that you're good enough. Are you on the defensive? Are you on the defense when you're speaking to people that have something to offer to you, like a relationship or money, right? Or in business, right? We often are trying to prove ourselves because out of this deep down seated fear that we aren't enough. And also this ends up looking like perfectionism, low confidence, and also can become a form of neuroticism. Like we can become neurotic about others really seeing us the way we want them to. Like this can become so neurotic so that we try to control everybody's perception of us. We try to control everybody's perception of us. This may look like you micromanaging people around you. Like they can't see me like this. They can't see me like that. That person can see me like this, but that person can't see me like that. Do you try to micromanage other people's perceptions of you? That's a really powerful one. So where does this come from? Because it can feel so natural for us. Maybe you've lived with this your whole life. You've lived with this your whole life. And where does this come from? Like, why do we have to live with this? Why does it feel like we have to live with this? Well, it starts from, were you pressured in school to work harder? Were you pressured in school to that you weren't good enough, like your grades were not good enough? Or you were compared to other people around you. Your parents compared you to your brother or your sister. Drop it in the comments. What is resonating with you? How does this show up today in your life? Or how has this shown up in your past, in your childhood? Drop below, let us know here. Share your story so that others can resonate with you. So this is a community here, not just me talking at you. My goal is not to be a talking head at you, because you don't learn anything by sitting back and just watching a talking head, right? You learn when you start to engage, you start to put yourself out there, you start to share, right? And you're also breaking a habit of your own, right? If you have a tendency to just watch videos and then go back to your life and not do anything, this can start to break that pattern that you have. So go ahead and let me know below, drop it in the comments, how is being an imposter affecting your life today? Where is it showing up in your relationships, in your job, in your business, with your clients? Where are you feeling like an imposter, like a fraud? And then also, when if your parents criticized you for your lack of intelligence, according to them you had a lack of intelligence or lack of capability. So for instance, maybe you were enrolled in a sport, you played a sport, and you made a basket, right? You were playing basketball, or you hit that field goal, and your parents maybe said something like, well, you missed that one goal earlier. Or how come, well, next time you'll do better, right? You get these sort of backhanded compliments. Like it's supposed to sound like a compliment, but it's not. That can drill inside of ourselves our own doubt. And this feeling like we have to measure up for others. Do you feel like you have to measure up for others? This is probably the summary of it all, is that we are not enough. We have to measure up to be enough for our clients, for our parents, for our friends, for our significant other, for our kids. The list goes on and on. So who do you feel like you have to measure up for? Drop it in the comments. Drop it below. Who do you feel like you have to measure up for? You already know the answer to this. You already know, because you're already doing this. So who do you have to measure up for? Let's start a conversation here. Let's get the conversation going. Who do you guys feel like you have to measure up for? And what do you feel like is lacking for you? What's lacking? What's lacking for you? Is it your intelligence? Is it your capability? Is it your talent, your skill, your knowledge? How many degrees that you have or you don't have? Or how much is in your bank account or not? Right? And then we'll get into how to start to overcome this. So how is it? So comment below before we move forward. I want to know, how is this showing up in your life? Who do you feel like you need to impress? Because there'll be this feeling, I need to impress. And who is that person you feel like you need to impress or you need to measure up to be enough for? Take like a couple seconds, think about that answer, and just drop it below. Who do you feel like you need to measure up for? Can you guys think of it? Who are you trying to be enough for? Because until you identify this, you're not going to be able to move forward. This is part of what I take any client through is who are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to work overtime for so that you know, you're not found out and people will walk away. So there can also be this fear of abandonment that creeps up. We feel like out of nowhere, our clients might get up and walk away, or our boss might fire us, or our husband or our wife or significant other may get up and just walk away one day out of nowhere. That's also that deep-seated fear can be just like things will just up and end. Things will just fall apart out of nowhere, right? Maria says, to an ideal of myself. So you have this idealized version of yourself. So we do this to ourselves as well. We're not enough to others, and therefore we're not enough to ourselves. So who is this idealized version of you, and why do you have to be that? Who are you trying to be that for? See that? Now you're still trying to be someone for someone else. And by doing that, you're trying to meet your idealized version of yourself. Does that make sense? So start to create those connections. Like when you're your ideal self, what will be better in your life? That's a great question to ask yourself. When you're your ideal self, what will change in your life? Where will you feel different? Right? So how can we start to overcome this? So I'm going to give you some really quick tips here. And then I'm excited to offer you all an opportunity on Friday to join me in a masterclass to really dig deep and start to really build traction with overcoming this. I don't often do masterclasses, but this is such a hot topic that people are struggling with. So I'm going to first talk about where can you start to shift here, things you can start to do right now so that you can overcome this. So first of all is to start to, one, acknowledge your feelings rather than dismissing them or trying to avoid them. And by the way, going out of your way to try to impress others is you avoiding what's actually there. Does that make sense? Because if you were addressing what's actually there, there's going to be no need to go out and try to prove yourself. Does that make sense? So one way to start to overcome this is to start to acknowledge what's really there. What are you really feeling? Is it guilt? Is it shame? Is it a lack of confidence? Is it a void? Whatever you want to call it. And then, as I've talked about in previous videos, start to trace that back. Start to go back in time to an earlier situation in which you felt that way. And that's going to be where this kind of started. See that? So instead of going out trying to continue to be on this hamster wheel of let me prove myself, let me overwork myself, let me try to convince everyone, let me hope, let me wish, let me pray, instead of all of these desperate forms of action, you stop in that moment, notice the feeling, go back to that earlier situation, and your body's going to be on its way to resolving it. Awesome, huh? Awesome. This is self-hypnosis. This is what we're doing here. Point number 2, start to challenge your doubts about yourself. Start to challenge them. And what I mean by that is go talk to your friends. Go talk to people who you know have your best interests at heart and care about you, and ask them what they think. Like, do they think that you lack intelligence somewhere? Go challenge your beliefs. If you feel like you're not capable of doing something, go find evidence where you've done it or something similar. So an example is if you feel like you're not capable of, closing, like selling your package, right? If you're a coach of some kind, maybe you feel like you're not going to be good enough to sell a package or sell your next package or a higher premium, more high ticket package. Well, go back and look at where you've sold packages. Like you've done it. You've done it before, right? Or if you feel like you're not good enough to get the attention or affection of your spouse, you feel like you're not good enough for their attention, is another good example. Go back and find evidence where you got their attention and their affection without having to work for it. It's a good one too. Without having to bend over backwards. Where did you get your spouse's attention and affection? See that? Go look for evidence of how you're already getting the things that you think you're not allowed to have. That's gonna clear up a lot of this. So start to challenge your beliefs about your capabilities or your intelligence. Next thing is to start to validate your strengths and get encouragement from others. So this kind of goes back to the challenging your doubts. Start to validate your strengths with others around you. Obviously, you don't want to talk to people who don't feel good to be around. You want to talk to people who have, again, care about you genuinely, and start to get validation from them. Start to get another person's perspective on you, so you're not just hung up on your own perspective. Okay? Next thing is to stop comparing yourselves to others. Surprise. I think we all knew this one was coming. I shot a video about how to stop comparing yourselves to others about, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? It's on my YouTube channel, so go check that out if you haven't already. You'll see that at the bottom of the emails that are sent out to you. This email that was sent out to you for this live broadcast, you'll see the links to other videos, related content, so you can go check it out there. Stop comparing yourselves to others. Just stop. Stop the habit. When you notice you're doing it, just do something else. Literally, it could be anything else. Take a deep breath, look at your hands, talk to a friend, text a friend. Think about it. Anything that's not you comparing yourself to others is going to be success for you. Anything that's not that is success. So what can you do in that moment instead? Again, you can just look at your hand. You can go back to the task you were doing. You can reshift your focus to your breath. Anything, really. You can go get a drink of water. Anything to break that pattern. And also, it's important to remember here that success for you, if you feel like a fraud or imposter, that success for you is not going to be in the form of perfection. I'm going to say this again because I know a lot of you are going to a trance when you're going to watch this, or if you're watching now, you're going to go into a trance and you're going to be like, what? Hang on, something's resonating here or not. Is that success for you to get rid of imposter syndrome does not come in the form of perfectionism, which means you don't need to be perfect. In fact, you can't. It's physically impossible to be perfect. So that is not what is going to replace imposter syndrome. What is going to replace that is realizing that there's nothing you need to do to prove yourself. There's no need to prove yourself at all. That's true healing. It's not going from one extreme to the other, from I'm not good enough to let me be perfect. Here's how you know you've truly healed from this, is that you realize in the moment where you thought you would have had to bend over backwards, that instead of doing that, you realize there's nothing you need to prove to anyone. That's it. That people can either see your value or what you're capable of, or they can't. People either see the same value in you or they don't. And we have no control over that. But when you let go of trying to micromanage other people's perceptions of you and realize their perceptions of you are because of their experiences, and you can't control that, then you just can unhinge yourself from needing people to see you a certain way, because you have no control over that. And until you can have this insight, so what's awesome here is I'm planting a seed for you all. If you're liking this, Go ahead, like this video. Let me know in the comments if you're liking what you're hearing right now. Because I wish I had someone to tell me this exact thing from the perspective of a hypnotist or someone who has healed from this. I certainly wish I had someone to tell me this plain like this when I was struggling. Okay? So if you're liking what you're hearing, put me in the comments or like this video, because I'm putting this so plainly, so simply, that there's no way this cannot start to heal you. Because what I'm doing here is planting a seed, planting a new idea. That in that moment where you might start to feel guilty about not being good enough, and you have to go out and prove yourself, and you have to work overtime and work harder and send that extra email, do that extra presentation, go please other people to be good enough. In that moment where you would typically do all those things, is you realize there's nothing you need to do at all. There's nothing you need to do at all. And you turn that switch off. Now, this can feel uncomfortable. First of all, I'm going to validate you guys. And I know for some of you watching and who are going to be watching that it's going to be like, wait a minute. Why don't I have to do this? I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought, exactly, it's the thoughts. It's the thoughts. So when you eliminate the thoughts, is there a need to prove yourself? Let's pretend the thoughts aren't there. Do you need to go out and do all this crazy hamster wheel stuff if the thoughts aren't there? Right? No. It's not other people. It's not imposter syndrome, by the way. It's the thoughts. So if you don't have the thoughts, is there any need to bust your butts to work overtime, to reach out to people, to go people please, to go earn stuff from people? Is there any need for that? Probably no. And this should dial all of that down and turn it off. Even if it takes a few passes, it will turn off. And finally, obviously, self-compassion is going to be part of this. You can use that as a way to disarm this pattern of trying to please and prove yourself. You can just simply use compassion. Things like, you know what? I am who I am, and I love it, right? It's great. It's great that I don't have to prove myself. It's great that I don't have to bend over backwards anymore. And people either are going to see my value or not. People will see my value or not. They'll see it or not. That's it. There is nothing in between. It's not some people kind of see your value and no. People see your value or they don't. That's it. And how we base other people's value on us is going to be what their values are. Again, no control over. So I certainly love this topic. What resonated with you today? What resonated with you? This was such a quick and dirty way to power through this. So this is everything you need to start to shift in a new direction. In fact, just by watching this video already means that the next time you have this tendency or compulsion to prove yourself, it's going to start to shift. And that's the beauty of hypnosis. That's the beauty of the work that I do here, is to plant seeds and help that start to grow inside of you. So, and what I also have for you all is, let's see here if I can get this planted in the comments, is on Friday, for those of you watching and those of you who are going to be watching later on in the day and the week, is I've put together a 1-hour masterclass. So this is going to be a 1-hour masterclass this coming Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. It's just a 1-hour masterclass, not a long time, not a huge chunk of time, but a good amount of time that we can really start to dig deep and start to give you the personal shifts you need to make, right? Because it's one thing to watch a video and to comment, but if you really want to start to build momentum and see changes in your own life, I have to talk to you specifically, right? So coming up this Friday, I'm going to drop the link in the comments to register. Let's see if I can grab this here. Hopefully this will paste without any, there we go. This is the link to register for the Overcoming Imposter Syndrome Masterclass. That's this coming Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to verify that with myself just to double check. Yep, so 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that should be doable no matter what time zone you're in. And join us, because this is just the start. This video is just the start of you moving out of this imposter syndrome for good. And if you want to get live coaching, if you need personal one-on-one attention, then jump into this live stream, to this masterclass on Friday. The link to register is in the comments. So if you're watching this now, go head over there. Or if you're watching later on today or later this week, the link to register for this masterclass is in the comments. So look how much we covered today, right? We've almost summarized everything we've talked about in this group leading up to now. Is this lack of self-esteem, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not being able to see what your value is. Whether you're a life coach, whether you're a working professional and you have a supervisor that you're trying to impress, you're trying to impress your husband or your wife, or you're trying to make sure your kids see you as you're trying to micromanage your kids' perceptions of you. Are you trying to micromanage your kids' perceptions of you? This is another thing that I've also seen in my clients is trouble with kids, because you're trying to micromanage everybody's perceptions of you, make sure that person sees you as this person sees you like that person can't see you like this. Well, that's a lot of work. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all there on Friday. It's going to be a powerful 1 hour. So be sure to register the link in the comments, and I'll see you all on Friday. And of course, you'll be hearing from me between now and then with more content, with more tips, strategies, and things you can start to take away and do today. So stay tuned for more. We also have the summit coming up in March. Going to be really powerful for everybody. So have a great rest of your Monday, guys. Hop over to the YouTube channel for this video. I will be uploading this there. Plus all my past videos are also there. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you for showing up for yourselves, and I appreciate you for being a part of this audience. And I will see you all later this week. Bye-bye now.